Good evening, Pirates fans. It's another live PirateCast. I wouldn't really blame you if you've forgotten what Speedway was, what with the weather we've had over the last couple of weeks. But yeah, we thought we'd fire in a show. Why not? We haven't done one for a month, so we thought we'd do that. Ben, how you doing?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, absolutely buzzing to be back on. Great guest lined up as well. Completely buzzing after the World Cup as well. I know we'll get onto that in a bit. So yeah. Let's get cracking, as they say.
Let's get cracking, of course. The one and only KYLE NEWMAN, he's racing his way up the team. He's gone from reserve up to, we haven't seen him there yet, but he's going to be number 2 for the Pirates for this coming month at the very least. Is going to be joining us in just a few minutes. Before we do that, let's go through some of our socials. Head on over to the website, or I'll say the website is the link that takes you straight to the YouTube page, piratecast.live. Which will take you to the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/PirateCast Live. If you want to check us out on Facebook, you can, facebook.com/The Piratecast. On Twitter, or X as it's called now, which is ridiculous. Don't get me started on that.
Retweet. It's not retweet, it's repost. Oh, don't. It's bloody must. Jesus Christ.
Brilliant. Anyway, we're at PirateCast on there and regular updates on there. Instagram, we are PirateCast Live. And don't forget to check out our store, shop.piratecast.live, to get PirateCast branded merch. But don't buy anything until they've got a sale on.
We're on Threads as well, although that seems to have died off completely. It's horrendous.
Oh, that thing.
Yeah, Facebook, Twitter.
So
we are on Threads as well. Yeah,
I did get a thing every so often saying, "Look, this is you're now following this person on Threads," because I just added all my normal Instagram people on it. Anyway, it's weird. I don't really understand.
We're on there as well. PirateCast Live.
PirateCast Live, same as Instagram. Also check out our podcast. If by any reason, I mean, if you're watching this anyway, then you don't need to download the podcast. If you don't have time to watch an hour or so of us rabbiting on and all that kind of stuff on your TV, if you prefer to listen to us whilst driving, you can download the podcast, the audio version of this show. For our podcast listeners, hello, thank you very much for checking us out. You can find PirateCast anywhere you get your podcasts. Right, let's check out everyone we've got in the chat room, and there's some familiar names in there and some really cool people. David James is in there, Clive Tyres is in there, Carlito, Chris Bugler, Carlito again, Darren Baker, Betty Lou's in there, Nigel's in there. Hello, Nigel. How are you? Mandy Duddington in there, Tony Brett is in there as well. Other side of the world, isn't he?
Canada.
Exactly. Wow, amazing. So we're going international today. That's nice. I like that. Andy's in there. Who else have we not said? I think we've just about hit everyone. There's a lot of people. Nigel.
Yeah,
Nigel's in there. We're all good there. Wayne Hearties. And according to our viewer numbers, there are quite a few people who are watching who aren't in the chat room. So if you're watching on YouTube, check out the YouTube live page, and you should be able to log in and check out the chat room and get your questions over to our guest when he comes on in just a few minutes. So it should be a good one. What I really want to do as well, thank you everyone for tuning in live. It really does mean a lot to us, especially on YouTube. And if you're watching this on the repeat as well, that it really helps with the numbers. It's fantastic. What I'd really like you to do, we're never going to charge a penny for this. We do this as a labor of love. There are obviously costs that come into producing all of this stuff. We pay for the software that we use to stream all of this. What would really help us out, if you can subscribe to our channel, it doesn't cost you anything. Benefit to you is you get alerted when we do any new videos, when we've got any lives coming up. And the more subscribers we get, the better sort of funding basically we get from YouTube themselves, and we could actually offset some of the costs we have to pay out from YouTube. So that'd be really great. Just click the subscribe button and you get notified with any PirateCast related stuff. So that's awesome. So we've got a lot of stuff coming up tonight. We're going to bring KYLE on very shortly. We're also going to be hopefully getting some news in. There's been a lot of new signings and moving and riders shuffling around. Some big surprises there. You're going to be talking about the World Cup as well, Ben.
Yeah.
I only caught a little bit of it, but certainly the final I know you're very impressed with. And of course, there's something else we're going to save to the end as well, which we always do every week, and I'm going to make sure we don't forget about that. What?
You forget about a lot at the moment, can you not?
I do forget about a lot. Yes, neuropathy. I'm just going to tell everyone, neuropathy. After you've had chemotherapy, you think, you're out of the woods, everything's fine. I'm now currently suffering from something called neuropathy. Neuropathy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ben.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that way, isn't it? That way, not. Yeah, it is backwards. Weird.
Yeah.
Suffering from neuropathy, which number one makes my brain even worse than it was before. and that's saying a lot. And secondly, I can't really feel my hands or my feet. So they are going to re-release a charity single for me. I can't feel my hands or feet when I'm with you, but I love it. And all the proceeds go to me. So that's how I'm going to get my sports car, even though I can't be able to hold onto the wheel.
I'll happily do the music video for that.
Well, is it going to be Tim Allen stabbing himself in the...
Probably, yeah.
Okay, let's crack on then with our very special guest this week. He is a get used to this term pretty soon, pirate legend. He is he's been with the Pirates or associated with the Pirates for many, many years, and this year obviously coming at reserve, and he is storming his way through the averages, and he's going to be our brand new number 2 when we can finally get an August meeting under our belts, which would be very nice. Well, tomorrow, yeah. Again, fingers crossed. Yeah, all the fingers crossed. So let's bring him on right now, KYLE NEWMAN, to the show. Kyle, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks. How are you guys?
Fantastic. Doing absolutely great. It's great to finally have you on. Obviously, you were associated with, the dubious distinction of being the first and only, so far, PirateCast sponsored rider from way, way back.
Yeah,
when we were just doing a podcast. So.
yeah, that's it. We still got that set of Kevlars actually over at the back. So I think that was back at the fast track years, wasn't it?
I think it probably was, yeah. And I think, not wanting to put a down on it, but I think our name has probably devalued them. So don't bother sticking them on eBay.
No,
so let's get you started. Obviously, it's a bit of an up and down season. We started really strong, then we had a big old break, and then we've come back. And as soon as we've come back, we've then had 2 home rain-offs. It's a little bit up and down. But how do you see the Pirate season going so far as a team?
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, it's one of those, like we were all really gutted that we lost up at Glasgow, and I think that's where we're at as a team. We want to go everywhere and we want to win everywhere. Like, not that every team does, but we kind of feel that we've got the capability to do it. So when we lose by 2 points, we're really disappointed. Obviously, a while back, I think we got shown the way around quite profusely around Oxford. But so one, you can kind of chalk off. But when you start talking about like another loss, a lot of other teams sort of like, okay, that's an away loss. But for us, it's a bit like, that's a little bit disappointing, actually. We always want to be at the spiky end of the table, and even though it's been a bit stop-start with fixtures and then the weather, I think for us to still be feeling that sort of confident, obviously a lot of the other boys are racing more than I am, but I think that's a good sign.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of those things where, it's certainly the Glasgow result. Everyone, you guys must have been absolutely gutted to only lose, to lose out and it just be by a couple of points. But everyone else is seeing it's a massive positive to go somewhere like Glasgow and only lose by 2 points. Even though we're the Pirates and we consider ourselves pretty unstoppable in a lot of places. To go up somewhere like Glasgow and to again only lose by 2 points, you must be. As gutted as it was to lose, you must be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it's one of those. Sometimes you got to look at the positives of the defeat, and I suppose that was one of the positives, that we come from 10 points down, we clawed it back, and we're sat there saying we should have come away with a draw or a win, but we didn't, and we've got to try and make up for that this weekend.
Yeah.
Obviously, following on from that, how are you feeling about your season so far? How do you feel that you're doing? Obviously, you're progressing into the main body of the team. I'm guessing you're relishing that opportunity. Talk us through your season so far.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Obviously, I'm riding for Poole again, which is always sort of seems to bring the best out of me. I still don't think we've quite seen the best out of me actually yet. I still think there's a little bit more in the tank to come out, and I'm just trying to find the sort of magic solution to get there. But yeah, it's hard for me because, as I've sort of mentioned just before, like you're constantly coming up against guys that I've rode here this week, I've rode there this week, and another one says the same, and they go, "Oh yeah, where have you been?" I've been at work. Like, I haven't been on my bike since I last saw you, so it's hard in that sense because sometimes you're just not feeling quite as fresh on the bike all the time. But I'm sort of sat here saying that, and I'm going up into the team. I don't know what my average 4 is this year, but I think it's pretty good. As I said, I want to be pushing it a bit higher. But all things considered, when I'm not riding as nearly as much as anybody else, and I'm still doing well, I kind of got to take that and say, yeah, actually, we're doing quite well here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. I know we spoke in the pits quite a couple of months back as well, and I know you started really strong. Then you had a period where you seemed to be fighting the bike, and I know that track conditions weren't ideal. And you said it's so frustrating. I've tried everything. I've reverted back to what I had, and then all of a sudden I'm okay. Has there been any big equipment changes you've had this season that's sort of making that difficult to sort of gauge?
Not really. I think we had a little period where the track was changing a lot each meeting, and I was having some. We found out it was ignition problems with the engine, because I've been using one of Matt's engines this year, and it's been flying, and so you start thinking about that, and then you go down a bit of a rabbit hole. What it could be this, and this, and sort of ended up replacing all the electronics and servicing the carbies and replacing loads and that, and we got it going again. And obviously, as I've said before, if you're riding loads, you kind of tend to find those issues a bit quicker, because you sort of have an issue that day, and then the next day you're riding somewhere else. And whereas if I'm riding at home one week and then I'm not riding again until next week at home, that gap seems like I'm struggling for a lot longer. Might only be 2 meetings, but 2 meetings over 2 weeks is different to 2 meetings over 2 days.
Yeah.
And that's where the other riders sometimes have that advantage, because they can find little niggles, or solve little niggles, or everything. Just I've always said, the more you ride, the better you ride, because one dud meeting is gone and it's forgotten about, whereas when you're not, you're sat there and you're chewing on it a little bit, and sometimes you can overthink it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. You mentioned there, obviously, the gaps that you've had, and not having the same amount of time on the bike as maybe a lot of the other guys that are on the team at the moment. How do you keep yourself motivated? And obviously, there's nothing quite like riding a bike in a meeting, but obviously fitness comes into it as well. It must be very easy to think, I haven't got another match for maybe 14 days. So you just switch off and just go back to real life, and not bother with being essentially a professional sportsman. What do you do sort of fitness wise and to keep yourself busy in between meetings?
Yeah, try and get myself to the gym as much as I can. As I said to you earlier, I was with my personal trainer today at 4:00, Sean Lillington from Precision. And then I get on the paintbrush, painter and decorator as well. That's a lot harder job than people think. It was a lot harder job than I initially thought it was going to be, but that keeps you going.
Hard on the Speedway.
No. It's one of those. It's Speedway. You're not saying that I don't enjoy my job, but when you're grafting for 8 hours of it in a day, or you run the Speedway meeting, like the adrenaline's a lot more. Unless I put heavy metal rock on to try and get the adrenaline going nearly, but at work. But it's a different kind of physical aspect. But obviously, Speedway's short, sharp. You've got to be like very strong on the bike, whereas painting and decorating, if you're rolling a whole house out in a day, it's going to take it out of your arms. You're going to feel knackered at the end of the day, but in a different way. So it's so then you got to try and motivate yourself to go to the gym after, or go for a run, or just do something at least. And it's sometimes it can be a challenge, especially when you come home and you got kids at home that want to see you, and jobs at home that need doing. So it's just got to try and wiggle it all in 24 hours sometimes.
Big old juggling act. We've got quite a few questions now coming in from the chat room, so I think we're going to start getting to those now. We've got everyone who's listening, make sure you get your questions into the chat room whilst we're talking to Kyle, and we'll get through as many of them as possible. First up, let's go with Clive Tyres. Let's start off there. Kyle, the tracks at Edinburgh and Berwick are very different. Which do you prefer and why?
Up until last year, I'd have said a big, fat, heavy prefer Berwick because I used to hate Edinburgh. If I walked away in one piece and 4 points, I was well happy. And then last year, I think I had a mare of a first 2-3 rides, blew an engine up, jumped on my spare bike, and I think from my last 3 rides, I got paid 10. I think it was like win a second or something like, or even no. So it would have been last 4 rides. I went paid 10 or 11 or something. I was like, hang about. I like this place all of a sudden. So yeah, I try and not go to a track and go, I don't like this place. Admittedly, the one place I really have not liked in the past was Glasgow, and I struggled like buggery the other day. I rode both bikes and I've walked away with 6+1. So I think that kind of says where I'm at, that like I still, when I'm struggling, 6+1 isn't up all that too bad. So between Edinburgh and Berwick, I'm going to say I'm looking forward to both, and I think we've got a team. I think Berwick have strengthened a little bit with Hans and with Vauxhall. That's definitely potentially going to be the tougher of the two. The problem you've got is you're going to 2 specialist tracks. One's absolutely tiny, one's huge, and one not. And it's like you're not going to 2 tracks or even similar. So yeah, out of the 2, I can't really split them nowadays.
Yeah. Okay. It's good. Very
good
different.
But
yeah, good.
I've got one in from our Canadian viewer, Tony Bratt. Kyle, it's kind of a silly question, I think, but where would you prefer to be next year? Looking forward already. It's a bit of a jump. Let's get this season out of the way, but we asked the questions. Do you have preference?
Yeah, sitting on top of winning lottery ticket would be nice. But, yeah, we all know the answer to that question, don't we? Yeah. I'd love to be back at Poole. It's home. I've said it a million times, haven't I? It's my club. I've supported it as a kid, supported it as an adult, rode for it, love the place, and yeah, it's 15 minutes from home, which I'm not going to lie is a very big bonus in Speedway sometimes.
Absolutely. Just build on that, Carl. I mean, looking at this season, I'll be honest, I'm surprised that I haven't seen you riding for a Premiership club this season.
I'm bloody surprised as well.
I didn't know whether to raise it or not. So
no, honestly, I was saying to Ian, me sponsor, boss, mate, whatever you want to call him, he's all of the above the other day, is I saw the Wolverhampton had a lineup. I'll try not to be disrespectful to any other rider, but they had a load of, I think the meeting got rained off in the end, but they had a load of guests. And I just kind of like, I had something in my hand. I'm not going to lie, I don't often lose my temper, but whatever I had in my hand got launched at the wall. And I said, I'm going to try not to swear because I'm actually getting a bit riled up right now. If I can't get a bloody guest booking when there's certain riders in certain positions there, like what else, what have I got to do to get a guest booking? Like I've literally, this year I've had one call for a guest booking. Sorry, I'm just going to open the curtain. The sunlight's just dropped. Yeah, and it was a Scunthorpe away for Birmingham on a Friday. Normally any day of the week I'd take the guest booking, but Ian's really good with me at work. And we were absolutely rammed at the time, and it's only fair that I sort of turn that one down, because he's if I call him up at any time of the day and say, can I go and do a guest book, and he goes, yeah, no stress, like it's not even in the question. So I was like, no, it's only fair if I turn this one down, plus who wants to go to Scunthorpe on a Friday. But yeah, like I said, I saw this lineup and I was just sort of, what have I got to do? Like, have I got to get a certain brown stuff on my nose a little bit more to get it? It's like, yeah, it really has frustrated me. Not to even get a guest booking. Not even get a call. Like, if you get a call and you can't do it for whatever reason, like, yeah, it's fine. But for nothing, I was a bit like, wow.
I'm kind of sorry I asked the question now because I didn't want to rile you up. So I
Yeah,
apologise for that
yeah.
one. But
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense that you're as frustrated because, like I say, there's been so many injuries this season. I think it's probably more than the last 2 or 3. And it tends to be around sort of second order riders and reserves. And I'm just absolutely gobsmacked that I've not seen you here, there, and everywhere. Because I know you did get quite a few last season, didn't you? Based on your form, you were doing quite a few, and then this year nothing.
No, not last year.
Oh right, okay. I
No,
thought you did.
I had none last year. Yeah, no, because I just signed up with Redcar and that was it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was no guest bookings at all.
Wow. So the DMs are open is what we got to say. So if you want to get in touch with Kyle, everyone who's watching this, we know other league promoters watch PirateCast. So get in touch with Kyle. You could do a hell of a lot worse. And some people are doing a hell of a lot worse. But there we go.
I'm sorry. I've just got to mention this, right? No, I've just seen a comment. Danny Chilcott. What a legend, right? Last week at Glasgow. Was it last week? Week before, sorry. The first time we went out to Glasgow. I'll get a call from mate Jack Harlow when we're out there. He goes, Danny Chilcott has come up. Right, okay. He's like, do you mind giving a lift back? I went, what do you mean? Right. This bloke. And now I know there was other fans up there as well, but Danny, by himself, at 2:00 in the morning, got on a coach, all by his lonesome, all the way to London, all the way to bloody Glasgow, then got a taxi across, didn't ask any of the lads if he could sign on. He went and paid his entrance fee and was prepared to do all of that back to get back at, like, I think it was 12:00 on the Saturday.
Flipping out.
I was like, what a legend. Like, fair play to him. I ended up, luckily, because we have space, like, I'm not going to lie, it's something we don't normally like to do, is like try and get everybody to jump in, because it's one of those things, once you start, it becomes a bit of a thing. But I couldn't, like, not bring him back. And he sat there in the passenger seat and he's quiet as a mouse. I was asking him a few questions. He's fallen asleep. His glasses have fallen off. It was like giving me like a bit of a chuckle, I'm not going to lie. I said, oh, what are you going to do today? Like, go home, go to get some sleep. He went, oh, there's no word of a lie. He turned around and he went, oh, I think there's some jobs to do down the stadium.
Cool.
I was like, what? Go to sleep, man. Like,
and I know he's heading up. They're en route. A lot of the mid-army are en route now.
Like, at least he's there with somebody. But like, for the commitment to the club, like, I know all you guys have fantastic commitment, but I just had to, like, that one blew me away a little bit. It's not often that, like, you really take something in like that, but when he's there by himself, he's got, like, no, I don't think he drives, so he was like, everything was public transport, all out of his own pocket, day off work. I was like, wow, fair play. So just big up to you, Danny Chilcott.
Yeah, Danny absolutely. Danny Chilcott, that was an epic journey. I was given a heads up about that as well, and I wasn't aware that you ended up giving a ride home. So that's absolutely awesome to hear. And obviously, we do get quite a vocal contingent with the Nid Corner, and they are making the travels this season.
Yeah. Right now, I want to see them give him the bumps wherever they are, because I think that would be
amazing. They should do it. They should do it tomorrow night at the meeting.
Yeah, no. I always get called out for stuff, so I'm calling the Nick wherever they are. Literally, just drop their pints and whatnot, and just start giving them the bumps.
Give them the bumps. We need video footage as well.
I really want to see this now. Yeah, please.
Amazing. More speaking of the many fans, more of them chiming in for some questions for Kyle. Andy says, hi Kyle, how do you feel now about being at number 2 and riding with Richard Lawson? Obviously Richard he's got quite a hair-raising style, a little bit unpredictable at times. What's it going to be like slotting in next to him at number 2?
I love riding with Rich. Obviously me and Rich have, we've been at Eastbourne Lakeside, and Richard's probably, he doesn't make it too obvious, but he's actually one of the best team riders out there. Like, he'll have a tiniest little glance, and if he sees it's you there, he will give you the opportunity to come round or to sit in next year. I love Rich. He's brilliant.
Amazing. Does it change your sort of mindset and how you prepare for a race when you look at who you're riding with? Are there certain riders, obviously not naming names, some like Rich who will look for you, and others that you sort of look to the side and think, right, I'm just gonna have to go for it here because no one's gonna.
Definitely that does come into the equation, and you can't always blame other riders because sometimes you don't know whether like if they're confident or not on the bike, not like in general, but at that time, if they're having a rough period, sometimes if you're having a rough period, you've got to focus on yourself. You've just got to head down and just go. And but that's where you just know, Rich, whatever the case, he's always going to look for you, and that is brilliant.
Yeah, be good. Heat 1 coming up. Well, next time we get a meeting on, hopefully tomorrow.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Pull my finger out the start, hopefully.
One from my darling wife, Kyle. Welcome back to Poole. What she wants to know is which riders inspired you to become a speed rider? Obviously, you said you watch from the terraces. I can kind of guess some of the names, but was there anyone in particular your standouts?
I'm going to let you have a guess first now because I'm going to surprise you. Have a guess at like actually the number 2.
Number 2.
The second hero.
See, the thing is, I keep forgetting you are a lot younger than I am. So
what are you? 91, aren't you? So we're looking late 90s.
Yeah. Or are you talking 2000s?
Well, both. So
I'm going to go Boise. I think Boise's there.
Lee Adams.
Okay. Boise, Adams are a legend, right? So number 2, which is the obvious one for me, is Rick Arton. Absolute hero. But my first ever hero, legend of the club, Steve Schofield.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah.
Yes, I didn't know if that was too early. I wasn't sure.
It was like real younger years. Like I did, obviously can't really remember, but obviously he's tiny, and he'd just fly around that inside line, and I just loved seeing him almost go under people's elbows. It was mint.
Yeah, I'm sure spiritual father of Ben Cook, I think, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
It is weird. It's spooky.
He probably won't have a bloody clue who he is.
We'll have to get some Steve Schofield stuff going on PirateCast soon. We'll see if we can track him down and get him on a show. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Where are we? Right, Carlito. His first question of the evening: when can we see Louis on a bike? We always love seeing him climbing around the bike. He certainly knows his way around the machinery. So, will there be Newman the next generation?
Oh God, he's a weapon, that little thing. Do you know what? Me and the old boy were like, nah, we've had enough of bikes in this family. They cost too much. They hurt too much. We're keeping them away from it. There is no keeping him away from bikes. Like, we was in the workshop the other day. I sat him up on Dad's twin shock bike, and he's loving life. He's grabbed the handbar, just going brum brum brum. We're like laughing. And he literally looked Dad straight in the face. He just goes like, "I like bike. I ride bike." Dad's just like, "No." I thought we'd ended it. So,
that's the one. That's it. Now.
Yeah, For my bank balance, my sanity, I'd love to keep him away from bikes, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be. Yeah, it's going to happen. Whether it be motocross or speedway, there'll be bikes of sorts.
I can still see your dad in 20 years, like wandering around the pits, trying to sort him out with the bike and keep him on 2 wheels.
Yeah, no, I think with the way he holds a bloody, he always nicks the Allen key out of the tool. He loves robbing tools from me toolbox. So we're going to a twin shock soon, and we're going to get him a high vis with a tool thief written on it. But like, I got one Allen key which is 7mm, and like I've kind of decided that at a meeting Louis can have that 7mm Allen key, because if at any point in a speedway meeting I need a 7mm Allen key, we are in like seriously big trouble. I would never want to be using that Allen key at a speedway meeting. So yeah, you have that one. If we're at that point, then we're not going to be continuing the meeting anyway. So
brilliant. I'm not going to ask the one from the second question from my wife. It's about it's good to know knowing that you're painting and decorating. It will save us doing it. He kind of wants to ride Speedway more than painting and decorating, Mandy, so I'm not going to go there. So we've got one from Lauren Cutler. Interesting question, actually. What's your opinion of Ty signing at Sheffield for Jack's injury?
Yeah,
cover?
I think it's good for British Speedway. Obviously, it's a shame for Jack that he's got injured. He's been flying. He's really impressed me this year. Yeah, I like not to. It's hard to explain, but like I thought he was going to go good, but not quite as good as he has been. Like, fair play to him. So it was a shame about the injury, but I think it was only a week or two ago that Ty sort of hinted that he wanted to start coming back to British Speedway. And I don't know, like, everybody says that Speedway's struggling and stuff, but you're starting to see a few more top boys creeping back to the UK. And look, we all know that it's not the top money in this country. We haven't got the numbers for it at the moment. I don't know what the answer is, but if we can get some of those top boys back in and BSM keeps taking off, or maybe I don't know what the TV deal is nowadays, but yeah, it looks like there's a potential for a little changing of the wind, so to speak, and hopefully we can start pushing Speedway back to a bigger time again in the UK.
Yeah, hopefully, and hopefully, enough clubs see it through, because that's the other worrying factor is how many clubs are potentially homeless next year as well already, and what the promoters are going to do about that. I think it's going to be a very interesting winter for everybody. Like you say,
I'm not sure if this is going to be the last year we're at Edinburgh or not. I don't know what their circumstances is at the moment.
They had a temporary reprieve, but I think this is it at the moment. I haven't read anything more about the following year. Unless there's a track share arrangement, I don't know. That's the other alternative, isn't it? But
yeah.
So on one side the tracks falling down, but we're getting bigger riders back. And what actually surprised me with the announcement, and I don't know if you've had any of this feedback as well, is there was a lot of Polish fans on there actually saying that for them, they think that they should all get blooded in England like they used to, because it is technically the best proving ground.
Yeah, definitely.
Because of the variety.
The holes and bumps that sometimes you can get in British Speedway. I think Dan Bewley proved it in the last Grand Prix, didn't he? Where a lot of the riders over there were struggling to actually get to that white line, and at the end of the meeting, that came back to life. Whereas, and Dan, probably by his own admissions, isn't probably one of the better riders at getting to that white line, but because he'd had the experience in British Speedway, he was able to get to it a lot better than a lot of the GP boys, and he flew past Vasilik for the win. And it was like, I think technicality wise, it can really help improve your game at Speedway. Obviously, Poland is sometimes the weight race as such. Like, I think that's potentially why Woofy sometimes struggles, because nowadays over there and the GPs, the tracks seem so slick. I think it's a bit of a not hard to say, not necessarily the best rider, because Smarzlik's just a freak, but I think sometimes it's a bit of a weight race in the sense of the lighter the rider can be, the faster the bike's going to go, especially with the slick tracks.
Yeah, it does surprise me with the track prep. You saw it in the World Cup. We've got that slated for later on, but how different the track prep is for that kind of meeting, because Wroclaw's one of the best racetracks I've seen. It's got you've got the outside and the inside, but it just, until that the actual final, it just wasn't working. I think maybe the runoff, the semi-final, we saw a little bit of it, but that was it. It's just surprising. Are you aware of a reason for that? Is there a particular reason? Is it because the top boys prefer it like that, or?
I don't know. I mean, I know the bikes nowadays are so on edge with power wise. Like, it's kind of, that margin's got thinner and thinner and thinner. I was talking to somebody, Jeff Wiltshire, the other day, friend of ours, and like, he was talking about like when he used to ride, he could, no matter what the weather, you could go and ride the bike. He years and years ago, he went on a practice track, and it was wet, and he'd taken his son, and he got on a modern bike because nobody else was going out because they just walked the track, and they said, "Oh, I need it to dry off," and he was like, "Oh, it'd be fine." He said he went and ended up on his arse because the bikes just revved out that much harder. He just span. He said if that was one of the older bikes, he'd have been fine, but that's where you get the problem with speedways. People go, "Oh, back in my day, people would just get on with it. The engines would just get on with it." It's like, yeah, we'll get that, but there's that modern progression of technology of wanting to push the bikes. Formula One, in my eyes, boring as hell nowadays. Years and years ago, it was probably better to watch. But modern technologies are pushing the engines in cars faster and faster and faster. So that margin of error, that margin of being able to make a pass gets finer and finer and finer sometimes. So I think whether it's they're trying to prepare the tracks for the bikes, or the bikes are being prepared for the tracks, or whether tracks don't want to spend out on the shale. Like, I think one of the best types of shale is like the sort of reddish shale that Bellevue are using. If you remember, like years and years and years ago, that Poole was like a reddish, coloured shale. But
yeah,
it's the costs of it. I've spoken to Danny about it, and he's like, sometimes it's not actually the cost of buying the shell; it's the cost of transporting the shell. You got quoted silly money one time. So I think it's a mixture of all of it. It's the cost, it's the bikes, it's the bikes and the tracks sort of trying to be set up for each other. It's just a bit of a shame, really. It's I'd love for every track to be with lovely shell and that lot, but we can't have that, I'm afraid.
Probably good opportunity to chime in now and mention the Poole track. I mean, through various reasons, obviously, we've had a bit of a sort of bumpy timeline with who's preparing the track each week, and that's not anyone's fault, and some very difficult weather conditions as well, and very, very different Poole track almost week to week at this point. How have you handled it? I mean, is it a real challenge every week on the track, looking at it and trying to work out what you're coming up against this week?
So we, like I said earlier, we had a couple of weeks which was a bit like that. I know Terry was struggling with a bit of an illness.
Yeah.
I think that's slightly understating it, but I don't know how public he wants to go. But so it was part of his son doing it, and obviously he might prepare it slightly different. The weather was up and down. But the last couple of weeks we sort of got a little bit closer to it being more consistent. And you've probably seen our scores in the last couple of meetings where they've really ramped up. And I mean, I'd like a few little things on the track, but you're trying to please 7 boys at the same time.
Yeah.
7 riders. The chances of all 7 riders wanting exactly the same are very slim. It's one of those. You've just got to ride with it how it is sometimes. It's obviously you need it safe, but sometimes it's not quite to your preference, and you just got to get on with it.
No, I'm with you. Next, it's not really a question, but more of a statement from Evil Robot Steve. He says, Kyle being back at Poole is one of the highlights of this whole season for me.
Cheers,
so
Robot
there you
Steve.
go. You got a good support there. And let's have a look. Let's fire in. Let's do a very quick one from David James. What do you think of Plymouth as a track?
Small, bumpy, annoying.
There we go. 3 words. It summed it up.
Yeah.
We're talking about the track, right? Yeah. We're talking about the track.
Yeah. Move on from that one.
I will get Martin Pizza's question in this time. His first one was about Spurs, so it's not going to be talked about. Kyle, what's your all-time 1 to 7 with riders you've actually ridden with? That's an interesting take on that question.
I've not really thought about this one. Am I including this 1 to 7?
Yeah.
If you want to, why not?
Let's bang me in at reserve, number 7.
Okay.
Just say I'm done. Right. Rickardson at 1.
Yeah.
Scully 2. Oh, no, wait, hang on. Sorry.
Riders you've ridden with.
Rode with. Oh, I'd love to have rode with them. Right. Sorry. I was going my all-time 7. Right. Darcy at 1. Grzonik at 2. Love Josh.
I missed Josh actually.
Chris at 3. God, I'm gonna put Lawson at 4. I love Rich to bits. Magic 5.
Nice. It's a difficult one when you're on the spot, isn't it?
I'm trying to think of riders I've rode with. Probably, and then I'd go Shamek Pavlitsky at 6.
Ooh,
Decent lineup.
That'd be good heat too.
And then we're also getting.
I think if Shamek was at 6, I think we all know I'm only getting 3 rides at the
we're also getting comments based on what you started doing, saying, "Yeah, do both, all time 1 to 7 as well."
Oh, right, okay. Now you're at my head, right? Okay. Ricketson 1, Scoey 2.
Yeah.
Darcy 3.
Yeah.
Magic 4. Lee Adams at 5.
Yeah.
Actually, no, because Lorem's in there as well. 6. Yeah, so Lorem, and then I'd pump myself in there as well.
At reserve. I like that.
Got to put myself in there for me 3 rides.
Of course you have.
Well, actually, probably 2 rides and get paid to touch the tapes.
That's good. That's an interesting 1 to 7s there. I like that. Moving on to, this is a bit of an overall question, not about yourself specifically, but Clive Ties, what do you think the league structure will be next year, with Panthers and Wolves likely to lose their tracks, plus doubts with a couple of championship teams? I'm guessing that's going to turn into. It's very sketchy at the moment. A lot of stadium difficulties, a lot of clubs may not run. For years, everyone's been sort of talking about the potential of having one league. Probably not the best solution, but where do you see it? What do you see happening next year if you had a crystal ball?
I don't know. I really don't know. It's a tough one. The only thing I can really look at that potentially you could do is go 6-man teams and amalgamate the 2 leagues. The top 2 leagues, then the teams that drop out of those 2 as such go down to the National League. I don't know what crowds are getting, maybe working could come up. It's a difficult one. You've got to, from a rider's point of view, we need more meetings. I know I do. I need more meetings.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure fans would like more meetings. Maybe if you put the 2 leagues together and go 6-man teams, you're taking away the spots, but that'd be counteracted with the doubling up. That's potentially something that I would look at. It's difficult. I know. The other thing with that, maybe you'd have more teams in the league so that fans aren't seeing the same teams again, because Plymouth had the bright idea to have a go against us 3 times in the first 4 matches. Thankfully we pumped them every 3 times, so slide that one in there.
it is a difficult one because, like you say, there's so many riders to go round, and if there's less clubs in one league, then you're gonna be a lot of riders out of job.
I wouldn't be able to do the maths. Well, I potentially would if you sat there and had a bit of pen and paper and 2 hours to spare. But if somebody could do the numbers to say if they take out the teams that supposedly would shut down, as brutal as that sounds, and then divide the rest of the teams up by 6 riders and see how many riders are in British Speedway currently, it'd be interesting to see the numbers, whether it would make a difference, whether it would work. Because obviously, if it doesn't work and then there's a big gap, a load of riders, then the clubs are going to have to pay more for foreign riders because they'd know that they're in demand.
Yeah.
So you're kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul. So it's whether that would work or not, I don't know. But that would be a potential. So whatever we do, something needs to be done this winter. There needs to be a clear effort at trying to save British Speedway is potentially the wrong word, but like, yeah,
something to keep it
make it sustainable.
Yeah.
There needs to be something that fans, sponsors go, right, they're trying to do something. They're trying to get it working again.
Yeah.
I think if that's, if we just come out with this press statement, oh yeah, this rule has changed, this rule has changed, this rule has changed, and that's that. People are just going, well, okay. Because normally those 3 bloody rule changes are changes on the bikes that riders have got to swallow the cost too. Or, but there needs to be a feasible effort trying something different within the sport to try and draw fans back or draw new fans in. But hey, we'll leave that to the smart bodies running the sport.
I was going to say it's a question for people who get paid a lot more than we do. So
we shall.
All 3 of us put together, probably.
Yeah.
We'll leave that to them. Ben, your lovely wife has put another question in there. Oh, you're going to go for?
No. I was going to go back. Our main trackside, just back on the GP one. Obviously, Carl's doing all the music down at all across the GP series. He said that somebody's told him that making the track slicker can be a leveler. Apparently, if Zmarzlik had a dirt line, he'd be even faster and it'd be even more predictable.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Yes and no, because he's a freak.
Yeah.
It's a difficult one. Yeah, he may well be quicker, but he may well not.
Yeah.
Somebody might get to that dirt line before him. And just having a bit more dirt on the tracks might create that inside line a little bit more. Problem is, where from my point of view, where I sit and see it, especially like the GPs, where it's so dry and marbly, and then they grade it all back to the inside. Because the thing is with Speedway, when it gets so slick, once all the loose shell has moved to the outside and created this dirt line as such, sometimes you actually start burning the concrete as what we call the blue groove.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes that can be really quick. But when they constantly drag all the loose shell across it and then give it a water, that inside becomes an ice rink, and then you're still only left with the outside line. So sometimes I think the whole dragging the dirt back in is actually pointless. Sometimes you're actually better off just having the bar grader or a little wonder wheel for 1 or 2 laps, just break the berms up on the outside, just give the outside a water. So you've left that blue groove or the pure shell like packed down inside for your tire to actually roll and sort of, when the tires get really hot, they sort of like melt a little bit, like, and it can actually grip. When you drag it all back down and water it, that inside's an ice rink, outside sloppy for a couple of laps, the inside shell flips over to the outside again, you get the dirt line, and then you still got an ice rink on the inside. So for me, like I say, I'd do a couple of laps of grading around the outside, so you've still got that shell left on the outside, give it a little sprinkle of water, leave the inside alone, and you've got a couple of lines then. And have a Carlson corridor, because we all love Carlson corridor.
Yeah, can't beat a Carlson corridor.
I want that at Poole. I want the Carlson corridor at Poole. It's one thing I want. I only want that much. I can get
that. Right, brilliant. So one from the missus again. Thank you for the questions, man. Keep them coming. Apart from Speedway, Carl, what other hobbies do you have? I'm guessing some involves motorcycles, but what else?
Yeah, I used to play a bit of six-a-side with Brendan Johnson and that, but we could just never really get a team up together constantly on a Monday. I've got kids, Sarah's got work, so sometimes got to get back for that. I love me golf, but at the moment with my shoulder, I can't. Booked in for an operation in November, I think it is. So finally getting to the end of that. So I like to try and get back to that because I'm hopeless at it, but I enjoy it. Yeah, other than that, just running around after the 2 kids. That's, other than that, you don't get much time left after that. And then obviously the twin shock motocross.
Nice, good stuff. One from Lauren Cutler. She says, would you ever do Speedway at Grand Prix level? I suppose rephrase there, if you're given the opportunity. I mean, is it Is it
I
still
would
something that
absolutely love to see the 3 back mud guards as they pull away from me in the GP.
You're doing yourself an injustice there, mate. You are doing yourself an
All right,
injustice.
I'll make a trap and do the Hans Anderson.
Yeah.
Just get those elbows
Yeah.
right out and right. Come on,
Yeah.
jump past. Maybe if they did a GP at Plymouth, I'd be all right. Yeah, no, like it's one of those things. Like, look, we all aspire to be it when we're younger. So as years go on, sometimes realization, as much as you don't want it to, kicks in.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, I'm not in the British final this year, but there's always that little nibble at can you get up there and finish behind the GP boys or sneak a win and yeah, if there was ever that opportunity, you can't turn it down. As much as you might look at those free dirt deflectors sailing away or spraying your shell, like if you get given the opportunity, you got to take it. You know, when you're 80 years old, and you sit there and say, "Yeah, I've done it once."
Exactly. Yeah, something to keep the DVDs of and show the grandkids at some point
Yeah,
that
so
you're in the World Championship.
That's me, and that's how you should be doing it.
Yeah. Nice one. Now, obviously, you've this. I'm trying to word this. It's not so much of a controversial question. Obviously, you're a Poole guy through and through. I'd imagine your whole career, from the start to right up to now, you would have wanted to be a Poole Pirate. Obviously, there were some years in between there where things either didn't go to plan from sort of team building perspectives, or whether injuries or anything like that came into it. How did you? Again, I'm being very careful here. How was your? Were you still a Poole supporter through those, let's say, sort of rocky years? How was your relationship with the whole, Poole Pirates as a team during that period? I mean, obviously going for being a Poole guy from top to bottom, and then I think we might have lost Kyle. Just when I was getting to the really decent question. Oh, there he is. He's back. He's back. Out for a sec. You dropped out, but you're okay. You're here. Yeah. So how did it feel when you want to be riding for Poole and then you're, to be fair, over a few years, you sort of went across quite a few different teams and not sort of being where your heart really wanted to be. How was that for you personally and professionally?
Yeah. So the first year I wanted Poole to lose bad.
Yeah.
Like there's no question about it. I wanted Poole to lose bad. I was hurt. Like, me and Matt are patched up now. I still don't think it was the right decision at the time. I felt like I deserved a bit more time to come back from the injury at that time. But so yeah, it was raw. So I was like, yeah, no, like, and I think I proved that in that Poole Swindon meeting. I had bit between my teeth then. Like, yeah, I just put it out there. I was like, yeah, I want to beat him. And then you grow up a little bit and you go, well, it is what it is. Like, and then yeah, when I wasn't in the same league as Poole, it was like I'd kind of like I didn't really want to come down and watch too much because you'd have everybody asking you the questions in person. And it's okay when you get asked it once, like tonight, that's fine. But when you're trying to watch a Speedway meeting and I've got no problem talking to fans and I've got no problem asking them asking the questions. But when the hard bit for me was when I was getting asked those same questions every 5 yards.
Yeah.
That's when I sort of stopped enjoying coming down when I wasn't running for Poole and if they were in a different league, because I was just like, it was more about actually trying to, like, it sounds bad, but hide just to watch the Speedway than it was to watch the Speedway. And that I was trying not to be rude to anybody, but like at a time when I probably just wanted to go and watch the Speedway and potentially would have got my love for the club back even quicker, was when people were bringing up that question, that same thing that hurt you a little bit. And it was like, for a couple of years, I kind of like, I barely went down, and yeah, I'm a bit gutted about it, to be honest. But it was kind of the way the dice rolled and something that I had to do. And yeah, and then obviously you just sort of started racing against them once Poole dropped down. And obviously you always want to beat Poole when you're against them. Like that's me. Like it doesn't matter whose Kevlar's race bib I've got on. I want to win that meeting.
Yeah.
As kind of proof with that Swindon one, obviously there was a little bit extra incentive that time, but yeah, even with Redcar last year, I was absolutely gutted we lost the final. Luckily, I'd had a fairly good meeting myself, so it kind of took the sting off. But yeah, that's kind of how I view it. Like when I'm against, if I'm against Poole, I want to beat Poole.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, I guess the one way to look at it is, experience elsewhere, riding with different riders, under different management, different tracks, different leagues, all that kind of stuff. You look at it, take it as a positive, and it boils down to 2023. You're back with the Pirates, and again, it comes full circle. You're now back in the team, and now up to number 2. I know it sounds a stupid question. You're looking forward to being at number 2. I know you said you're going to be riding with Rich. Number 2 notoriously isn't the easiest position to ride from, but you're looking forward to the challenge.
Yeah, the number on my back really doesn't bother me. It just genuinely is something that doesn't even come into the equation. I think the only thing you can say is sometimes at number 7 you've got the extra ride or number 6. So but hey, it's not something that I'm going to look at. I just got to go out, and the only difference in a meeting that will be for me is obviously being at reserve. You've got to make sure the bike's ready that much quicker.
Yeah.
Because you've got to be ready. You have to be ready for every 15 races of the match, unless you've done your 7 rides. Whereas at number 2, I can go, oh, right, I've got a bit of time. I can do this. I can do, well, you actually, number 2 is horrendous. You're finished by heat 10 or 11, but you're working to your program rides, and that's it pretty much.
Yeah.
Unless obviously disaster struck and you're in a, with 10 points down, there's a tactical switch as such. But yeah, other than that, it's just, well, I'm in this race. I want to go and win this race.
Excellent. Okay, well, we'll hopefully see that coming up tomorrow, and again next Wednesday down at Poole. It'll be awesome to see you at home with that number 2 race jacket on. We're rapidly coming up to the top of the hour. Kyle, it's been great having you. It's great seeing you back at Poole in the blue and the skull and crossbones. Anything you've got to say to the Poole fans listening who are welcoming you back this year?
Just thanks for the love and support. It's sorry, I've just seen this David James one stop the streaming services. I actually understand what he's saying there, but any publicity we can get is good for the sport. Yeah. So if people down Poole, and we can't get up to Edinburgh, but you can pay to watch it, that money's going to the club.
Yeah, exactly.
There's pros and cons, but no, in regards to the fans, it's just I love you all. Just keep doing what you're doing. Try and drag as many people as you can down. I've seen somebody post online the other day that they've done pick teams out of the hat for the World Cup, and they're going to do it for the Grand Prix, and they've managed to get 5 people into the sport who didn't even watch. So maybe everybody try that at their work. Go in with a hat with a load of names and go, right, there's a $5 each. Pick one for the next GP. Try something. Just try and get as many people as we can down there. We love this sport and we want it to continue.
Amazing. Great stuff. Thank you so much for your time, Kyle. Again, we know you've got a long drive ahead of you tomorrow, so we'll let you get on, rest up now, get everything sorted, and then safe riding tomorrow, and fingers crossed another Pirates win.
Yeah, hopefully. Cheers, guys.
Nice.
Cheers, Kyle. Thanks, buddy. Cheers, mate.
Take care, mate. Bye-bye. There we go, Kyle Newman. Let's flip back to that. This is where I've got to do my thingy and get rid of that.
I'm not going to Edinburgh. That's better. Thank you.
There we go. Back to normal now. Oh, I've got to take that thing off. Right, Phil, for a minute. God, there's so many buttons I've got to press here to try and get it back to normal.
It's back to oh no, that's it.
There we are.
Yeah, okay. I'm just unprepared as well, because that was great. I echo Carlito's comments. Obviously, we're biased from our interview techniques anyway. Great interview, real raw and honest answers. I was surprised. I knew where you were going with that last question, and fair play for asking it. I remember that season well. I was very outspoken on it. May have got into a bit of trouble as well. I didn't. I just said I gave my opinion, and then it resonated. And I was sort of held accountable for a little while about that. But yeah, it was good. It was great to hear from
Wasn't that about the time that PirateCast stopped as well for a little while?
Funnily enough, it may be. Yeah.
That's weird, isn't it?
Really weird.
There we go. So yeah, that was awesome. No, great chat from Kyle, and he is quite outspoken but fair with what he says, which is good, and fantastic to hear from Kyle. We're going to try and get as many of the Pirates on as we can this season. Isn't always that easy. I tell you what, you could do. PirateCast Army, you've still got all the, no one's tuned out after Kyle's gone off, which is really cool. So there's a big bunch of you listening. What I'd really like you guys to do, if you can message Steve Worrell on any social media, tweet him, Instagram, message him, slide into his DMs. I don't really know what that means. I'm too old. But, send him messages, talk to him down the track, tell him, we really want to see you on PirateCast. We've spoke to Steve a number of times, and I know he's a very, very busy guy. He's not the guy that sort of sits on social media all day. So he tends to miss a lot of messages that we send him. We've been trying to get him on all last year and this year so far as well. Can everyone please badger him and tell him to come on PirateCast? And at the end of all of that, he'll just do it because he wants people to stop bothering him. So that would be really handy.
Tell him what a great idea it would be, to come on. Don't just say you got to do it. Tell him what a great idea it is. And do it that way. We've covered actually bits that we were going to do, haven't we? So the tie signing's been covered. Hands and Boxall's kind of been touched on, but obviously we are meant to be against them Saturday, weather permitting. I was going to
say we'll find out a lot more about that this weekend, how they're going to perform for Berwick. But interesting move there, isn't it? Just a bit of Poole have done it before, where they've sort of changed out 2 or 3 riders at once and just basically formed a brand new team kind of overnight. It's going to be a very different feel to the Berwick team, so we'll see how they perform, if they're going to have any trouble gelling, or how well they're going to pick up to the track.
What I've been very impressed with this season, and don't get me wrong, some particularly in the Premiership signings have been an absolute cluster. But how quickly replacements have been secured and obtained, and the quality of those replacements has impressed me this season. It's felt a bit different. It's not like, we're scraping the barrel and we're going to give, no disrespect to the National League lads, we're going to give some of these National League lads a go now and try them out. It's like, big names in the Premiership, and, Hansy coming back into the Championship as well. And Stevie Boxall making a comeback, fair play.
That's mad. When I heard the name, I was around my dad's when I heard about that, and I was like, Steve Boxall, the same Steve Boxall that was, and I couldn't believe it. So that'll be really good to see what he's up to at Berwick. That'll be really cool. The other thing we've got on the agenda is talking about the World Cup. Now, I'll be very honest. I've dipped in and out of it because I'll be blatantly honest. I don't like a lot of the World Cup stuff. It doesn't interest me as much as just the sort of general, the leagues and teams. That's where my bread and butter is, to be perfectly honest. I dipped into the race off and watched a few heats of that, and I think that was probably the worst point I could have tuned in, because that was god awful. But moving over to the final, by the time I'd sort of started seeing all the tweets bursting through saying it was absolutely amazing, it was almost over at that point. But Ben, you watched a fair bit of the final, or all of the final, I think, didn't you? And
I watched most of all of the events actually in the end. Because I get Eurosport for free on Sky, which is great. But I also get Discovery Plus because I'm a loyal Sky customer. I get it for free. So nice. I've downloaded all of that. I've been using that. And I got to say, fair play to Discovery. There's some really niche stuff going on in there. But like, you can switch between all of the pit bay cams during the meeting on the app. Good.
Yeah.
So you can go to Jack Holder's pit bay, Doilies, whoever's it is, Marslick's. It's great fun. And weirdly enough, the first meeting, which was our qualifier against Sweden, Czech Republic, I watched that. Great Britain came out like a bloody train. Thing possessed. It was incredible. The track was shocking. I know we've had the conversation about how slick it was, but I don't know if you've seen any meetings at Rocklaw in the Polish League. It is a quality racetrack. It is quality. You've got lines everywhere, and it was just dull. Whoever was at the gate, done. I will disagree with you about the race off. But I'll go back to what I was actually saying. When you first go on through the Discovery app, because the first few events weren't on Eurosport, weirdly enough, it defaults to ambient sound. So it's just the track. So you get no commentary. Ambient. You only get the noise of the bikes. And actually, it was weird, but I quite enjoyed it. And it wasn't until I started having the commentary on that I realised how much I enjoyed not having the commentary. But I did change my mind because I think it was the race off, and Darcy ended up on comms for a bit with Kelvin. But I got to say, I'll disagree with you about the race off. I think it was an excellent meeting. Australia really, really surprised me, that meeting.
Oh, absolutely. And that youngster from on the Aussie team, I always forget his name.
Jamin Lindsay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Why did you say that in a South African accent?
Jamon Lindsay. Oh my God! The bloody lightning bolt just missed you. Sorry to any South Africans who may be watching.
He really impressed me. I can see him coming over and
he's tearing it up in Poland, mate. He's riding week in, week out in Poland, and obviously he's doing it over here for Bellevue.
Yes, I'd like to see him down in down at Poole. I'm surprised sort of young Australians coming over. We normally get first dibs, and I'm surprised to see his name hasn't been thrown around a bit more down here.
But, I also liked who was it? Which event was it? Oh, sugar. Which one was it? Was it the race off?
Bing.
Was it the race off? Was it the race off? It was the dude who looks like Harry Potter. I can't remember which team he rode for. He was really good. I think he beat 2 GP riders in his race. But yeah, the race off was great. Australia were very dominant in that. Chrissy Holder actually got quite a few rides in that meeting. Yeah. And one of his rides was absolutely spectacular, third to first. Didn't look like he'd been laid up for 3 months. So it was brilliant to see him back and enjoying it. And just echo what Kyle said is Jack Holt this season. I'm gutted for him. He was their best rider, bar none.
Oh yeah,
the whole World Cup, and then he broke his wrist in that nasty crash. You could see it as soon as he high-sided. Slow motion replay. Carl actually posted the video of Jack's crash, and you can see he just lands straight on that left wrist. Gone, broken, done, season. But Ty's obviously signed as well. But the final, absolutely incredible meeting. And Zmarzlik didn't get his own way. Britain absolutely gunned it the first 4 heats. And then we tailed off mid-meeting, unfortunately. Ty had a couple of laughs, which kind of cost us a little bit. What I didn't like was the vitriol against Adam Ellis and Tom Brennan riding. There may be better riders out there. I know, people were saying about Richard and that, they can mobilise quickly and this, that and the other. The reason they chose those guys, they're riding in Poland. They've got kit over there. They know what it's about. Richard has ridden in Poland. It's been a while. He is tearing up. Had it been over here, 100% he would have been in the squad. I know that. It's a no-brainer. But the final was amazing. It was a quality meeting. It went down to a last heat decider, and we lost by 2 points. In fact, between first and fourth, there was 6 points. So Denmark and Australia looked out of it at the first half of the meeting, then they started coming back.
Yeah.
It was quite funny. I was making jokes about Nicky Pedersen having a stern talking to himself about the way he was riding and taking himself out of his rides, being team manager and rider. But yeah, just an awesome meeting. Really, really, give the World Cup a go. I much prefer it to Speedway Nations. I don't think the pairs format suits a world championship.
It's a very sort of antiquated setup, isn't it? Yeah. It was great back in the day. I don't think it really fits, like you say, for this sort of era.
But I know Discovery's sort of big plan over the course of the years is they are going to alternate that. And Bewley did say, look, the World Cup, Speedway Nations, there's no comparison. Don't make me choose. Because I'll always choose the World Cup. And, fair play to Britain. We probably should have won it. I agree. And I think the boys will hurt. But, Poland, Zmarzlik had an absolutely insane ride in his last race, and obviously Magic getting the deed done. For me personally, given the season he's had in the world stage, he's better than his standings reflect, and it was nice to see him getting the win for him. It took a bit of the edge off for me of us losing it, but I think it was an incredible advert for Speedway. You want people to watch a sport showing that World Cup final. It was a brilliant event. Yeah, just absolutely amazing.
Nice one. Check it out. Do they do a sort of replay thing, like on demand?
Yeah,
on that, so you can watch back.
It's on the Discovery app. You can watch it back. It's all there.
Okay.
I'm sure if you ask Carl, he's probably got a copy of it already. So he'll probably be able to pass it on to somebody. That's it. Finland. It was the Finnish rider, Martin. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Speaking of Carl, he said, can you imagine a Legends meeting, 10 plus years retired only? That would get numbers, surely. That could be interesting. Could you imagine people that have been retired for at least 10 years hopping back on a bike and having some competitive laps? It was interesting, funnily enough, when we did, we were working at Midlow's testimonial, and seeing some of the guys that were hopping on bikes, how many of them
or falling off.
Well, yeah, either falling off or putting the throttle on a little bit and having a bit of a skid on the way round, like Kevin Smith. Really surprised me, considering he retired in like 1987. He still looked pretty handy, to be honest.
Yeah.
That was quite an eye opener. But yeah, that would be an interesting thing, wouldn't it? Get some machinery from the boys, stick a deposit down in case they put it through a fence. But yeah, I think that could work. Why not?
Yeah.
Danny, if you're listening, get a Legends meeting sorted. No one else does it.
Good idea. Be a good draw. Give it a good neutral crowd one start of the season.
Exactly. That would be a filler, wouldn't it? You get people from all over the place coming to see him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Anything else you've got, Ben, on the run sheet?
I don't believe I have. No. It was me blithering on about the World Cup for like 20 minutes nearly.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all right. No problem at all. I've got to do a shout out to Em, who's currently watching and is probably way past her bedtime. Emily, go to bed. But hello. Only one more thing to get to then, which is it's not the end credits. It's the pirate joke, Ben. Why are you not looking more excited? Why are you looking down? Why are you not smiling?
You know I'm looking down because I want to try and get it right. And I don't think it's going to work.
What? Okay, can I have you got access to the brand thing and the noises at the bottom?
No.
All right. Do you want me to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. This is like behind the scenes stuff. All right, you're not supposed to just forget you've heard the last 30 seconds. Okay,
I think I got it.
Okay, all right.
Didn't have the link ready. Short notice. We only found out last night that we were able to do this show, so apologies.
Yes, exactly. Kyle, bless him, is so busy, sort of back and forth and doing a million things. Even though he's not had Speedway, he's had a lot of other things to do. So we only had the final confirmation last night, so it's been a bit of a scramble. So, pirate joke for this week. Here we go. How do you judge a pirate's intelligence?
I don't know. How do you judge a pirate's intelligence?
With an IQ test. Has the weather just picked up outside or something?
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Weather warning for tumbleweeds.
Oh, okay.
Did you not see the Met Office? They got yellow warning for tumbleweeds.
Sorry, I didn't see that. I mean, it's absolutely lashing it down, but I didn't hear tumbleweeds. Okay, we're going to let you go. Thank you very much for joining in this evening. Thank you for a phenomenal chat room. All of you guys chiming in. Your questions for Kyle have been absolutely superb.
Yeah, thank you.
Keep supporting the Pirates. We'll see you down there next Wednesday. Fingers crossed. I don't want 3 rain-offs at Poole in a row, but we'll see what happens. I've got to get to bed because I'm going to Legoland tomorrow.
Okay. Have fun.
Everything is awesome. Everything's cool when you're part of the
that. It's English Legoland, not American Legoland. There's no Lego movie stuff. Ugh. Sad times.
It's the only good thing about it. Anyway,
you'll have a great time. You'll have a great time. Fingers crossed the weather's good for you, mate.
Well, if this rain stops, it'll be all right. Lovely. Cool. Right. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us this evening. If you can do on YouTube, please give us a like and a subscribe there. It really helps us out. And we can alleviate some of the costs that we have to pay out for this thing. We're never going to charge you a penny for it, and we're going to keep doing it regardless. But it just helps, you know. We love doing this. We're going to keep coming to you very regularly. Keep on at Steve Royal for us. And we will see you guys once again, either down the track or very soon on another edition of PirateCast. Have a great one, and we'll see you soon.
Take care, guys.